When I was 2 years old, I had a near-death experience. I was out with my mom, my brother, and my sister, and my mom was playing with me, and I stopped breathing for about 15 seconds. And my mom got this, jerking me, yelling my name, Lee, 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 patting my back, and everybody around us is just looking at us, wondering what's going on. Well, it's obvious that I made it because here I am today. But unfortunately, my mom isn't. And this story is about my visits to her grave. So she died when I was about 3 years old, and that's when my grandma took me and my brothers in to her care. Even though we were small and we knew nothing about death, she knew that once we got older, that we would need each other for support because that's when we would start understanding. And although also our fathers weren't around. So I remember this one story when my brothers they were talking about my mom. This is the first story I can remember. And they said that she had came to visit them in their sleeps to tell us that she loved us. So for a long time, as the years passed, I always asked, well, why didn't she come to visit me? And I kept asking my mom all the time, looking up, praying for her to come visit me, and she never would. So eventually, I just gave up on it and just pushed it aside. Didn't care about it anymore. And as I got older, I started having difficulties making relationships with people. Actually getting tight with them. And I came to realize that my mom was the reason why. So I made it my goal or mission. Something that would help me. I knew that I had to start going to her grave because I knew that would help me. So, and I also started getting curious around that time. So before I went to her grave, I had asked my brother if about the story that he had talked about when I was little, and he had told me that I had misinterpreted that really my mom had came and got them when they were their last night at her house and woke them up from their sleep and told them to come with her, and they all laid together. She said that she loved them and she wanted them to know that she loved us all, just in case she died and something happened to her. So that was a question that was always on my mind. And when I went to her grave in ninth grade, I sat there and I asked that question over and over again as I tried to clear out her grave, touching the hard grass because it was around the fall, and the grass was just really rough. And I'm sitting here pulling it out, and you can hear it ripping as I'm moving it around from under her grave. And a little bit after I left, it started storming real bad. And one thing about that is that every time I went to her grave after that, it always stormed really bad. Well, my grandma. She would tell me stories here and there. Some good and some bad. And I think she told me the bad things so that I would be careful and not end up like my mom. But then she also told me the good things because to let me know that my mom was a good person, and that it wasn't all her fault. She just hung out with the wrong people. So she wanted me to separate myself from that. So, and she told me that she had also gave me up when I was a kid because she was on drugs and she was trying to get back on the right path. So then that's when I felt like after seeing my brothers not do so well growing up and, going out into the world on their own and having to face these difficulties because of the choices that they made, I felt like it was my duty to carry out my mom's footsteps. That I was the one who had to take that and put it on my shoulder and walk with it. So from that day on, my 11th grade, 12th grade year, I did really well in high school. In my 12th grade year, I had went to visit her grave, and me and my girl, we were walking, trying to find my mom's grave, and we just kept going past it, and I could not find it. I just wanted to give up, but my girlfriend was like, no, we have to find it. And I was like, no, I just want to go home. I just want to go home. But she just walked over where I had been and looked down and instantly found it. So, I sat there, and the grave was actually bigger than I had noted, I have ever seen it before. And I touched the words that say, "In loving memory." And as I'm feeling the stone really smooth, wiping the dirt away, I sat there and a couple of tears dropped. Well, it was starting to get late, so we started walking, and we were kind of having this tug of war, with the way that we wanted to go. Because I wanted to go where the bus was at so we can easily just, be on there. And she wanted to go to the nearest exit. Eventually, I gave up and we did that way. So as we're walking, I look over to my right, and I see my grandma's family's grave that I had never known they were buried there. All my times coming there for these past 4 years, I've never noticed it. So I go there and I'm really fascinated, taking pictures, and I find out that some of them are still alive. So I wonder if my grandma knew. So I wanted to go talk to her about it. So I was so excited once I left. And as we leave the grave, there's a long stretch that we have to go down. So we start walking, and rain starts to fall. But this time, it isn't as heavy as all the other rains. This rain is a light rain. It's misty, just really smooth on the light on the skin, and a real cool breeze just coming by, and you can just hear it, And off in the distance, you hear the guys playing basketball, and they're all starting to run. You hear the sneakers scraping against the ground as they're running to get their jackets and their basketballs, and they're trying to leave so they don't get rained on because they think it's going to be a bad rain. I take the jacket and I put it over me and my girl's head, and we continue walking, and the clouds start to come in, and it's just dark, really dark clouds. But then the sun is just right here, and it's coming down on me, and I can feel it heating up my skin, just a warm feeling. So I stop and I take out my phone and I snap a couple pictures. And after that, I put my phone away, cover myself up, and we continue walking down the long stretch. Once we finally reach the end and of the bus stop, before the bus comes, you hear it coming down the street, shaking the ground. It stops raining. The clouds aren't as dark anymore. And I look over into the distance of where my mom's grave is, the side where my mom's grave is, and there's a rainbow shooting out. And that day, I felt we made a connection.